Thank you. I want to thank the chairs for convening this hearing. The first question relates to the Nile and Ethiopia's new dam. I wonder if Mr. Gonzalez can tell us what are the legal constraints on Ethiopia in filling this dam, both under the traditional international law of riparian states and according to any treaty obligations that Ethiopia has assumed.
Great. Thank you, Congressman. Again, not a lawyer and haven't reviewed the particulars of Ethiopia's treaty obligations, but fundamentally,
Does the U.S. have a position on what are the legal rights? I mean, this is one of the biggest disputes in East Africa, the biggest international disputes. Um, you know, uh, do we know whether Ethiopia says, "Hey, the water goes through our country, we get to dam it up," or is that a legitimate position legally or not?
we know that Ethiopia says that, and we know that the downstream effects are there. Ultimately, the answer needs to be in a solution that is viable to the existence and the needs of all three of the member states. And that's why we have tried over and over to lend our good offices both directly, as we've seen in recent years, as well as
Well,
through other
reclaiming my time, I'll have to go to other legal experts, but you would think that in addition to just believing that it'd be great if everybody works things out, we would know what the legal rights of the parties are. And that we'd be standing up not only for everybody getting along, which is great, but also for international law. Turning again to Ethiopia, without objection, I'd like to put into the record the September 2021 situation report published by Amna Tigray. Without objection?
Yes, without objection. Sorry, I was
Thank
muted.
you. When you look at the casualties in conflicts, the enormous casualties come from deprivation of food and medicine and disease hitting civilian populations. And that is certainly the case with regard to the dispute in Tigray. We have 2.2 million people who have been internally displaced. We've got millions who face starvation. We have 70,000 Tigrayans who have fled to Sudan. However, the Ethiopian government continues to block humanitarian aid, including food aid from entering the region. Is it our position that that is a gross deprivation of human rights and or a war crime?
We
Mr.
certainly
Gonzalez?
perceive it a gross deprivation of human rights. In terms of particular war crimes determinations, we're looking at the totality of the information on the situation on the ground with regard to any type of designation along those lines.
What are we doing to get food to the people who need it?
We are engaging across the board with all entities who play.
We're talking to all the entities, but have we gotten any food into the country in the last week? Are trucks moving? Are planes landing?
Not to my knowledge.
Okay, and I know Mr. Jenkins is right beside you there, uh, visually or virtually, and I assume he confirms that unless he wants to speak up. Um,
I
let
can't
me-
confirm what's happened in the last week, but we are seized with this issue. We have a disaster assistance response team in country, and yes, we think that it is a deprivation of fundamental human rights
And we're seized with the issue, but as far as you know, we haven't been able to get in any significant amount of food in the last week.
not to my knowledge.
Okay. And then finally, Mr. Gonzalez, we lost a war in Afghanistan. To what extent will this inspire extreme Islamic nationalist forces from engaging in terrorism, both against the United States, but also among the African states that we respect and work with?
I would expect that it would certainly inspire them, and all the more reason for us to continue to double down on our engagement with our African partners to respond.
Have we seen any particular increase in recruitment just in the last few weeks, or is this, we've got to be aware of maybe a longer term response?
And if
I
you
would
could answer
expect
that
it.
quickly. I'm
I would
sorry.
expect it's a longer term response, but we have not yet observed that on the ground.
My time has expired.
Thank you, and I'm sorry.